Manchester United exploring new left-back WONDERKID, as well as looking at a right-back as well ahead of the January transfer window, and also looking into the scary truth around Erik Ten Hag. These are some of the topics we will be discussing on this morning's live show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 500 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please also subscribe to the channel. I'm live every day at 8:30 and 6 p.m. UK time. Currently, only 50% of people who watch our videos are subscribed. If you are unsubscribed, make sure you get involved. It's free content. Get involved. Okay, right. I want to start the story or the show, whatever you want to call it, off by looking at this Ten Hag Alternative truth story then. So this is coming out from multiple different journalists in the UK this morning. And we've spoke about this before, but there's more and more people coming out with the same story. And effectively, the story that's come out this morning is that if Erik Ten Hag doesn't get things right at Manchester United and they end up removing him, it looks like Gareth Southgate is the current favourite to become the new Man United manager. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, what the hell, going crazy. But yeah, that's what's being reported in the media in the UK today, that apparently Gareth Southgate is the favourite. If Erik Ten Hag is to be removed, I hope he isn't. I hope that he turns things round. I hope that, we go and beat Southampton, and then we go and beat, is it FC Twente in the Europa League? Like, I hope we go on a bit of a run, because I think we can do it. Obviously, we have got a difficult run of fixtures coming up. We play Southampton on Saturday, which is obviously a must-win game. They haven't got a single point yet. We have to win that game. There's no excuses whatsoever. And then after that, I think we've got Aston Villa away, which is never easy. You've got Tottenham at home, which is also going to be a difficult match. And you've also got FC Twente. But the season can change very, very quickly. One or two good results and the mood will completely lift. That's the problem with the Man United fan base, or, Manchester United as a whole. For a club of our stature, or a club of our, historic relevance, you lose one game and it's suddenly all doom and gloom. And I get it, because people are frustrated. People expect a lot. People are saying, Erik Ten Hag's been here for 2 years. We can't see a clear style of play. I get it. And I understand people's frustration. But I just hope and pray that he turns it round, because the thought of Gareth Southgate being his replacement doesn't excite me in the slightest. I'm not like the biggest fan of Erik Ten Hag. I think, he's done well. I think, he took us from not winning a trophy for 6 years to win trophies back to back. So you have to show some respect for that. But my stance has always been this with Erik Ten Hag. Like, I just feel that at this moment in time, there isn't anybody else better available on the market. And in all fairness, Ineos came to that same conclusion in the summer. Remember, Ineos did about a month long? They did an end of season review where they looked at the managerial situation, and they said that based on who was available at that current moment, Erik Ten Hag was the best manager on the market, because the alternatives were Poch, who's now gone to, I think is Poch now the American manager? Let me double check. I don't know if that ever actually got announced. Okay, I think he is going to become the manager of America. Yeah. So Pochettino is going to be the American national team manager. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's pretty, to go from like being linked to Manchester United to become the national team manager for America. Like, I know obviously America's like a massive country, all the rest of it, but like footballing wise, that's a pretty strange decision, isn't it? So yeah, the options were obviously Poch. They were Gareth Southgate. They were Thomas Tuchel, and Manchester United decided that none of those managers were better than what they already had. So it's effectively the same pool of managers that are available now, and Gareth Southgate seems to be the one leading. Seems to be the one leading that kind of race, if you like. But yeah, I just think, you see all these people who are so passionately Erik Ten Hag out, Erik Ten Hag out, get rid of Erik Ten Hag. But then when you actually see what the reality is of getting rid of Ten Hag, like you look at the favourite. So I've got the Bookies odds up here. So the current favourite is Gareth Southgate. The second favourite is Thomas Tuchel. Then it's Kieran McKenna, but he's just signed a new contract to Ipswich. You'd probably have to give Ipswich loads of money to get him. Then it's Roberto De Zerbi, who's just obviously joined Marseille on a 5-year deal. You'd have to give them loads of money. So Gareth Southgate's the only one in the kind of, and Thomas Tuchel, in the top 5 favourites to become the Man United manager. The only ones that don't have a club are Gareth Southgate and Thomas Tuchel. All of the other ones we're linked to are currently with a club and they've just signed 5-year deals. So you'd have to give the clubs that they're currently working for like a massive payoff. And then the other name on the list is Graham Potter, which is just like, it's even worse, isn't it? And the point I'm trying to get at here is, and why it says the scary truth is, it's okay to say that you don't think Erik Ten Hag's good enough and that you want him gone. That's fine. That's obviously, I can't convince you that your opinion's right or wrong. Like, that's your opinion and you stick with that. But for people to be so passionately Erik Ten Hag out when the harsh reality is that it will be Gareth Southgate who comes in to replace him, like, surely you should just get behind the manager and get behind the team and say, like, he's made some mistakes, but let's get behind him. Let's hope that he turns things round. But there seems to be a large portion of the fan base who are just so passionately, like, resting everything on Erik Ten Hag leaving. The man who's just won us 2 trophies in back-to-back seasons, right? The first time in 6 years that we won a trophy before he came in. And they're so passionately trying to get rid of him, when the reality is that you're going to bring in Gareth Southgate, who had probably the best international team that he was managing and won nothing for England. Like, he had an unbelievable squad for England and he won nothing. He failed at every single hurdle. And that's who we're wanting to bring in instead. Playing boring football with like 6 defenders on the pitch, parking the bus. Like, if Gareth Southgate comes in, Harry Maguire's getting a new contract, blatantly. You'll see Harry Maguire getting a new 3 or 4 year contract. You'll probably see like De Ligt on the bench. Like, it will be... It just doesn't excite me in the slightest. And I think that a lot of people have put so much focus on Erik Ten Hag being the problem that they haven't really thought of what the actual solution is. The solution is that we give the manager time. We give, the new coaching setup time. We give Ineos time. Arteta is now in his 6th season at Arsenal and he's won 1 trophy in 6 years. And people still say that Arsenal are this amazing team and he's done an amazing job and all the rest of it. He's won 1 FA Cup in 6 years. And that was in his first season, the FA Cup that he won. He's won nothing else. No European Cups, no League Cups, no more FA Cups, nothing. And we've won a League Cup and an FA Cup in 2 seasons, going into our 3rd now. So I just think we have to be patient. We have to realise what the alternative is. Like, people like Nagelsmann aren't available. Zinedine Zidane is this kind of like, this mystical being that everyone thinks, oh, Zinedine Zidane's going to come to Manchester United. He's clearly not going to come to Manchester United. Otherwise, we probably would have done that before. And then you look at all the other top managers. They're all in jobs. Like the Hansi Flicks, the the people like that. You look at the list. Like, even Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is on the list. He's in the top 10 of people to replace Ten Hag. So the reason I want to speak about this a little bit, and obviously I want to get you guys' opinions as well. Like, based on what I've just said, does that change your opinion on Erik Ten Hag at all? And I know some people will say, oh, sack him and give Ruud van Nistelrooy the job. Like, I just don't really see it. I mean, I might be wrong. Maybe Ruud van Nistelrooy does a better job, but Ruud van Nistelrooy's only managed like 50 games in his whole career. Obviously, he did a good job at PSV, don't get me wrong, but what difference is it really going to make, Ruud van Nistelrooy going from the assistant manager to the manager? Like, I'm sure Ruud van Nistelrooy has some sort of a say in like how they play, the tactics, the coaching, all the rest of it. And you can't... If Ruud van Nistelrooy was like an Arsenal legend, right, say, would you want him to be the Man United manager? No. Like, the only reason people hold on to this sentimentality is because he's played for Manchester United. And I think we're past those days where we reward people because they're friends of the club, or do you know what I mean? Like, you look at the behind the scenes, it was like Darren Fletcher, obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the manager, you had Carrick as the assistant manager. I think we're trying to move away from those days where all of the people in the club are there because they're ex-players, opposed to actually being there on merit. And I think Ruud van Nistelrooy could end up being an amazing manager in the future, but those of you who seem to think that Ruud van Nistelrooy is the answer to the problems and to sack Erik Ten Hag now, and that he must become the new Man United manager. I mean, what's that really based on? He's a guy who's only played 50... He's only managed 50 professional games for PSV, who are one of the best teams in the Dutch league, who consistently, do well in the Dutch league. It's not like they're a relegation Dutch side and he got them to win the league or something. Like, PSV are a good side, Like, if you have a look at the league table now, PSV are currently second. Sorry. Last season, PSV finished second in the Eredivisie. They've got 75 points. You look at the season before that, how are they doing this season? So this season in the Eredivisie, PSV are top. PSV have won every single game this season without Ruud van Nistelrooy. Last season, And I'm not saying that Ruud van Nistelrooy is a bad manager by any means. Like, I think he's done an amazing job so far. But the point I'm making is, like, just because he did well in 50 games for PSV doesn't mean that he's the answer to our problems. PSV won the league last season. They're top of the league this season. And that's all without Ruud van Nistelrooy. They scored 111 goals last season and only conceded 20 times. And that was without Ruud van Nistelrooy. So the point I'm trying to make here is, obviously, we've got a big week ahead of us. We've got a massive game on Saturday against Southampton. Obviously, it's a must-win game. So, yeah, I just wanted to bring this into the show. I wanted to see what people have to say. So, yeah, let's wait and see how this all pans out. But, I mean, Mr. Man says, how can Ruud van Nistelrooy do a better job when he's already there? Yeah, that's my point on it as well. Like, people seem to think that just because he's the assistant manager, he's going to suddenly become the manager and we're going to, win the league? Like, I just don't understand it. We thought that with Ollie. Ollie was here for, 4 years, 5 years? He won nothing. Like, I just think that, these days, football fans are the memory is too short. We've just won the FA Cup and we won the League Cup the season before that. I don't know. Yeah, it's just frustrating. Eric Ten Hag out says, how many goals does Eric Ten Hag get us? Think about what you've just said there. Think about what you've just said. How many goals does Eric Ten Hag get us? That doesn't even make sense. Is Eric Ten Hag on the pitch as the striker? Manchester United have the highest XG out of any team in the Premier League this season. They've also got the highest missed chances or missed key chances, whatever you want to call it, this season in the Premier League. So what you've said there kind of just contradicts yourself, because you're saying, how many goals does Eric Ten Hag get us? Well, Eric Ten Hag's coaching has got those players into those positions where they should be scoring goals, hence why we have the most missed chances out of any team in the Premier League. Can Eric Ten Hag shapeshift onto the pitch and stop the players from scoring? No. Once they start playing, there's nothing he can do. So I don't really understand that kind of narrative that, we don't score under Eric Ten Hag. We create chances. We did that last season. It's just the players don't seem to be able to finish them. That's more of the problem. And that's why I said in the summer that we need a striker. We need an out-and-out number 9. Lightning says, Ruud van Nistelrooy fell out with the PSV board and finished second. Fair enough. Malp says, fans need to wake up and smell the coffee. We're a mid-table club, and that's that. We have been since 2013. I'd probably agree with that, to be honest. I would actually agree with you there. Yeah. Simon says, Eric Ten Hag is the best manager currently available. Just support him and get behind the team. That was kind of the point of this section of the video. I know the people who want Eric Ten Hag gone are so passionate about it. But anything I say, they're going to not agree with. But that's effectively what I'm saying, Simon. I don't think there is anybody else better available at the moment. And the reality of the matter is we just need to support the players, support the team, support the manager, and hope that things happen. And otherwise, you're going to have Gareth Southgate, and then you're all going to be complaining anyway. The same people who are saying Eric Ten Hag out, in 6 months' time, will be saying Southgate out. It's just like, can you not see the cycle? But yeah, obviously that's up to you. Like, if that's how you want to be, that's fine. I can't tell you otherwise. But for me personally, I'm going to back the manager. I'm going to get behind him. I think that's what we have to do. If he'd won no trophies, if he'd won no League Cup and no FA Cup, I think it would be very hard to support him. But he has won 2 trophies. He beat Man City, the best team in the world, with the best squad in the world and the best manager in the world, to win the FA Cup last season. Like, that deserves a lot of credit in itself, realistically. Let's see what else people are saying. Simon says, please be reminded that Southgate is waiting in the wings. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of saying here. And that's why it says the Scary Ten Hag Alternative, because that is the alternative. If Eric Ten Hag gets the boot, it will be Gareth Southgate, Al says, how can we be a mid-table team after spending £600 million? Al, the thing is, right, the £600 million number means nothing, really. We've spent £600 million badly. That's like being like, look at the players we've bought. We spent 100 million on Anthony. We spent what, 70 million on Casemiro, 70 million on Mason Mount. We've spent badly. Like, you see Brighton would probably spend 600 million and get a whole new squad of young players who they could then go and sell and resell for more money. So yeah, like, just because we spent 600 million doesn't mean that we have this divine right to win everything. That's not how football works. It's not how anything works. You might run a business. You might spend 600 million pounds badly on your business and it might fail. Like, it's all about how you spend the money. It's about what you do with it. It's about who you employ to spend that money. You know, it's just a figure. The easiest argument to your point there, or the easiest counter argument, is we spent 100 million of that 600 on Anthony. Like, that should just sum it up for you. And you go and look at, say, Brighton, bringing in people like Moises Caicedo, Mitoma. Like, think about how many players you could get for 100 million pounds if you spent it cleverly. And obviously we did that this summer, I think. You know, getting De Ligt and Mazraoui, you know, for such a good price, getting Xerxes for only 34 million. Like, we did very, very well in that sense. But to just constantly go back to, oh, we spent 600 million. We spent 600 million badly. So, yeah. Kev says it will never happen, but when the transfer window is shut for players, it should also include the managers as well. Has that ever happened? That would be quite interesting. I don't think that's ever happened before, has it? Where the transfer window only, you know, you can only have managers in the same bit. I mean, it's an interesting idea. But yeah, I don't think they'd ever do that. Somebody says, Sir Alex didn't win a trophy until his 4th season. Where would United be if we had sacked him after 2 seasons? I mean, I think, yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? I don't know how old people are and stuff in the chat, but I think a lot of people, like, probably seem to have just forgotten, you know, or maybe they're younger, I don't know, and just expect success. Somebody says, we better not fall for the agenda of sacking managers every season. I agree, 100%. And then someone else says, Erik Ten Hag is not the right person for this job. I feel bad for him, but I am a United fan first, before Erik Ten Hag. He has no excuses. Let's see what happens before November. I am not a toxic fan. I have eyes. The thing is, right, I agree with some of what you've said there. Okay, I agree with some of it. But the point I'm making, and the point of this last 20 minutes that I've been speaking, is the Scary Ten Hag Alternative. So you have 2 options. You can either continue with your kind of viewpoint that Erik Ten Hag's not right, you feel bad for him, you want him gone, okay? But the reality of that is then you're going to end up with Gareth Southgate, which, no matter what anybody says, Gareth Southgate is not a good manager. I'm sorry, he just isn't. There's no way he's as good as Erik Ten Hag. It's impossible to make that argument. I'm sorry, it just is. So you have that option, okay? Or you say, let's get behind the manager. Maybe in 6 months, somebody becomes available. Maybe in 6 months, I don't know. I'm just going to say a name. Unai Emery or Carlo Ancelotti or whoever. Okay, I'm just saying names. You know, a big manager with a big profile comes available. And at that point, then you can have a conversation, I think. But until that point, I think you have to get behind the players. You have to get behind the manager. You have to try and be a bit more, you know, like positive towards them and hope that they turn it around. That's all we can do. Because at the moment, the alternative is Gareth Southgate or Graham Potter. So, yeah. Philip says, we have just given Ten Hag a new contract. We have to give him at least till the end of the season. Somebody says Southgate is better than Erik Ten Hag. Wow. Please tell me you're joking. You genuinely... I assume you don't watch the English national team, do you? You're honestly telling me that you think Gareth Southgate is better than Erik Ten Hag? Oh my God. The thing is, right, if that's your opinion, that's fine. But I'm sure as soon as Southgate comes in and you actually see him play, you'll be like, get him out, sack him. Like, Gareth Southgate's never won a trophy in his career. Not one. Never. He got Middlesbrough relegated to the Championship and then was at England for 9 years and won nothing. Playing terrible football. Literally football that made you want to fall asleep. It was awful. Like, yeah, I don't know. I assume you're probably just trolling. Let me have a little sip of my tea. Oh, my hands are all... Okay, let's move on from that, though. I think the Southgate is better than Al says, so because Southgate is the only alternative, we're stuck with Ten Hag. Is that really the only options? Well, I went through the options a couple of minutes ago, mate. So I'll give you the top 10 if you want. So at the moment, Southgate's the favourite. Then Van Nistelrooy. I'm not convinced that Van Nistelrooy is ready to become the Man United manager. Then it's Thomas Tuchel. Falls out with the board, falls out of the players. I think he's pretty toxic. Then you've got Kieran McKenna. I think he's an interesting option, but he has just signed a new contract with Ipswich. He'd probably have to give them whatever the money is that, it'd probably be 10, 20 million to get Kieran McKenna. Roberto De Zerbi, again, an interesting option, but has just gone to Marseille on a 5-year deal. You'd have to give them 10, 20 million to get him out of that contract. Then you've got Graham Potter, which doesn't excite me at all. Then the next on the list is Thomas Frank. Again, an interesting option, but is he good enough to manage Man United? Maybe not. Then you've got Poch, who's just about to join the American national team. Again, you'd have to give them a massive compensation. And then finally, in the top 10 is Ruben Amarin, obviously the Sporting Lisbon manager. I don't know how long his contract is. Let me have a look. Let's have a little look at Ruben Amarin. Ruben Amarin, 39 years of age, Sporting Lisbon. His contract is until... he's been at Sporting Lisbon since 2019. His contract's until 2026. So he's only got 2 years left on his deal. He's probably the most realistic one from that whole list of people, I would say. Ruben Amarin. He's a young manager, done very, very well for Sporting Lisbon. Only 2 years left on his deal. Currently sat top of the Portuguese league, won all 4 of their first games. He would be an interesting option. I would entertain that if it got to that point. But every other name on that list, for me personally, they've either just signed a massive long contract at a club or they're just probably not good enough. So, yeah, those are the kind of top 10. But I'm happy to have this conversation on another day if people want to do that. Everyone who's just joined the video, if you could do me a small favour and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. Let's try and get to 500 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please also subscribe to the channel. We're very close to 40k now. So, make sure you go and do that if you haven't already. Malp says, I would like Amarin at United. Yeah, I think Amarin's probably the most interesting option from that list, to be fair. Obviously, he was linked to Liverpool in the summer, wasn't he? He was linked to a couple of other people as well. So, yeah. I kind of forgot about him, to be fair. Obviously, he's done very, very well at Sporting Lisbon. Been there since 2019. Very good manager. The right age profile as well. But the point is, right, the point I'm trying to make to you is it's all good and well us saying we like Ruben Amarin, we like this person. We know for a fact that Dan Ashworth and Gareth Southgate are very close. We know for a fact that they work together at the FA. And we know for a fact that if Man United were to ever let Ten Hag go in the near future, that Gareth Southgate would be the number one option. That's been widely reported. That's the point I'm making here. So, it's not like Ruben Amarin's waiting to become the Man United manager. It's Gareth Southgate. He's literally waiting for that job, which scares me a lot. But anyway, let's move on from Gareth Southgate and let's talk a little bit about this left back. So the left back is from I don't know if I'm going to say this name correctly, so forgive me if I missay it. Nice, French club. Apparently, Manchester United are trying to sign Patrick Dorgu, 19 years of age. He already plays for the Danish national team. Very, very talented player. I think you say Lease correctly. Lease. I don't know. There's probably some sort of. But yeah, he's only 19 years of age. He can play as a left back, a left midfielder, and as a left winger. He's more of a kind of attacking left back than like a defensive one, but he's a very, very interesting profile of player. There was a lot of interest in him in the summer. Tottenham were interested in him. A couple of other teams were as well. I'll be honest, I've only ever seen this guy play a couple of times, so I don't know that much about him. But from what I have seen, I think he looks good. So yeah, that's the left back that we've been looking at. So we'll wait and see how that goes. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat. Everyone's still talking about the manager. That's the problem when you have these manager debates. This is the problem with these manager debates. Peter says he doesn't want Southgate because he thinks we'll never get rid of Harry Maguire. Yeah, I mean, Maguire will probably become the captain again, innit, if Southgate comes in. James says, I'm going to be straight up. If we sign Gareth Southgate, I won't support Man United anymore. I understand your pain, mate, but I'll rephrase that for you. If Gareth Southgate comes in, it's going to be very difficult to support Manchester United anymore. I don't think you'll stop supporting them. That's like, a football club is your club for life, isn't it? You know, you don't change football club. You don't stop supporting them. It will just be hard. It'll be tough love. It won't be enjoyable, you know? But I do feel, yeah, I'm never going to stop supporting Man United, but it would be very, difficult if, you have to watch Gareth Southgate at Old Trafford every week. It'd be horrible. Ant says, what about Nagelsmann? He's only got 2 years left on his contract. Yeah, Nagelsmann's a really interesting option, and I like Nagelsmann a lot. But the problem with Nagelsmann is, obviously, he's the German national team manager, and he's already said that he wants to stay there for the World Cup. So that's the point I'm making. Like, Nagelsmann's an interesting option, but that's in 2 years. Like, he's not available now. He doesn't want to leave German national team until after the World Cup, which is in 2 years. So, although Nagelsmann's a great suggestion, like, the point I'm making and the point of most of this video was that for those people who are screaming for Ten Hag to lose his job now, the alternative is, at the moment, is Gareth Southgate, you know? Whereas in a couple of years or in a year's time, Nagelsmann might be ready to come, or someone else might be ready, or do you know what I mean? Like, it's a whole different thing. Everyone's just having their say, I guess, on the manager situation. I'm fully behind Ten Hag. I'm fully behind the players. Like, you can only look at the next game. Obviously, this game on Saturday against Southampton is absolutely massive. Like, we have to win that game. We have to. Now, I know the Premier League's hard. I know you can't, expect to win every single game, but it's going to be very, very difficult to. I don't know. I don't know how trigger happy Ineos are. Like, I think, to be honest, it would make them look pretty stupid if they gave him this new contract extension of 1 year, and then they suddenly sack him. I don't think that makes them look like they know what they're doing. But at the same time, if we fall further and further and further down the league, like, I don't know. I mean, we're 14th at the moment, but it is only 3 games into the season, obviously. But yeah, Southampton have scored 1 goal and conceded 5, and a second from the bottom with no points. Like, you can't be losing to Southampton. I'm sorry, you just can't. Even if it's away from home, like, you look at Southampton's team, and it's like, it looks like a championship team to me. Now, I know any team can beat any team on their day. I know I'm not going to sit here and say, we have this divine right to beat every single team, but you look at Southampton's side, and it is still a championship level team, And Man United have to be able to beat that. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back at 6 p.m. for another live show. Please make sure to drop a like on the video before you leave. Please also subscribe to the channel if you are new. Get in the comment section as well. Let me know, have your say on the managerial situation. I'll be back later on today. Have a lovely day, everybody, and I'll speak to you all later. Bye for now.